Pakistan's president has approved a new and strict anti-rape law to tackle the rising number of sexual crimes in the country. This ordinance allows chemical castration of convicts with their consent, and under this law, a national sex offender register will be set up along with fast-track courts to hear and speed up rape cases. The special courts will be expected to reach a verdict within 4 months. Taking on Twitter, the president of Pakistan said, and I'm quoting here, "The ordinance will help expedite cases of sexual abuse against women and children. Special courts will be set up across the country to expedite trials in cases of rape suspects as soon as possible." Under the anti-rape law, disclosing the identity of the victim is a punishable offence, while police and public officials who show negligence in investigations, the cases can face hefty fines and even 3 years of jail. And going by regional reports, the inhumane and degrading two-finger virginity test for rape victims has also been banned now. According to human rights groups, Pakistan has a conviction rate of 3 to 4% when dealing with sexual offence cases, and this law is being seen as a ray of hope in the country witnessing a rise in crimes of this nature. The move was welcomed by women's rights groups across Pakistan, while some players have also criticized the law for being too harsh. The new law comes after a public outcry against sexual violence in Pakistan. In September earlier this year, a woman was gang raped near Lahore. She was assaulted on the side of a motorway leading into the city in front of her 2 children. A day after the incident, Lahore's senior police officials said that the victim was partially at fault. The officials' comments left the citizens shocked and appalled, and spurring a wave of demonstrations nationwide and forcing the government to promise action. After this gruesome incident, Pakistan has been debating stricter laws and harsher punishments for sexual offenders. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan and his cabinet approved the legal measure last month, and on Tuesday, President Alvi signed it into law. The government has now 120 days to take the measure to Parliament and have it permanently passed into law. Until then, the law will remain in force. And for more on this, we are being joined by our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik from Islamabad. Anas, thank you for joining us. Now, as we just mentioned, this ordinance allows chemical castration of convicts with their consent. Could you elucidate on that?
Absolutely, a historical law that has been passed here in Pakistan with regards to chemical castration of repeated sexual offenders. It won't be applicable on first-time sexual offenders. This is what the deliberations and those who have been part of the process of this bill have confirmed. In fact, it would be applicable on those who are repeated sexual offenders. Now, this would only come into effect when a national database authority for sexual offenders would be set up, and that would be set up in coordination in the next 6 months in the coordination with the Database Registration Authority, or NADRA, which registers Pakistani citizens. Additionally, special courts will be set up as well under this bill or this law that would be mandated to conduct trials at a maximum period and wrap up the trials at a maximum period of 4 months or 120 days. This is what the law says. Now, why is it a historical step and historical law? Because we've seen the rise in sexual cases of sexual offence in Pakistan, the rise in those cases, and we've seen that there are people who are repeated offenders as well. Of late, we've seen the case that of the motorway rape case, where a mother was raped on the side of a motorway that leads to a city in front of her children as late as September, and then sexual violence against minors as well.
Yes.
So the rise in those cases, and it was being conducted, it was being done by repeated offenders, and the law was not stringent as to get them into it, as to catch those in their fold. The reason the Pakistani Prime Minister first proposed this in October this year, and then 2 months later we're seeing that it being formulated in a formal law as well. Yes, him.
All right, and also some of the players have criticized the law for being too harsh. What can we expect in that regard now?
Well, the right-wing MNAs and member parliament from within the government and opposition, they criticize, calling it quote-unquote un-Islamic. But the majority vote within the cabinet and the majority sentiment was that the government should go ahead with chemical castration, because there was a lot of public anger and outcry after two very significant rape cases. One that was of the motorway case, and then another that occurred in Sindh as well, of a minor. After that, there were calls for public hanging as well. About 2 years ago, when a 6-year-old Zainab from Kasur was raped, we saw a similar chance as well. But public hangings are banned in Pakistan, though executions do happen, but public hangings are banned in Pakistan, and therefore, though these voices, which were by and large a minority from the right wing, they did not sustain, and the cabinet has by and large managed to get it approved, and now the president has also signed this ordinance converting it into a formal law. It has another 120 days as per constitution to survive or being tabled in the assembly for formal legislation as well.
All right, Anas, thank you so much for clarifying that. Thank you for joining us.